Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Remotely Unique with Mary Baca, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mary Baca, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're coming to you live, airing from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a psychotherapist and also a holistic practitioner. I'm a licensed counselor, and I practice not only in Albuquerque, but through Skype and other means, technological means. I'm able to work with people elsewhere, hence the name of the show, Remotely Unique. I have two businesses. One of them is called Odyssey Counseling. I've had that business for 27 years. And the second business is called Resilience Integrative Services. That business I started 5 years ago, and for the first couple of years, it was a counseling practice that provided services for high-risk populations, like people coming from domestic violent situations that were heavily involved with the court system or child protective services. And that business evolved into what is now a holistic practice as I became a holistic practitioner several years ago. So that is what Resilience is today. And there is a bridge between the two businesses in that oftentimes we work together. I have a team of practitioners here in Albuquerque, another team in Santa Fe, and a team started in Los Angeles and New Orleans. Anyways, I guess several years ago, when I did become a holistic practitioner, I started to get more and more into the field of energy psychology. And I have to tell you, it has just really been amazing. And it's given me a lot more tools in my toolbox to help the people that I serve, my clients, which my clients are anything from individual people, families, couples, and I even do quite a bit in the workplace, which looks like I either go in and do what's called a strategic analysis and figure out what's going on if they're having personnel issues, and sometimes put together a regimen of trainings that we plan strategically to address those issues. Or I have several health and wellness contracts, and so that consists of monthly and quarterly contact with the members who join through their workplace. I definitely have a traditional and alternative methods approach, and I hate to even call it alternative because I'd rather call it additional, because that's really what it is together with the traditional modalities I use and some of the holistic modalities I use. To me, they are just, like I said before, just an additional way for me to help my clients and help people. So I have a license in counseling. I have a certification in Reiki and a certification in applied kinesiology. And I am also trained to provide EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Every chance I get, I tell people about that modality because it really is phenomenal. I've been using EMDR for about 15 years, and I've also had a lot of EMDR done in my own personal counseling and personal growth and development, and it is nothing short of amazing. You can use EMDR for anything like trauma, which is one of my specialties, or pretty much any issue where you're stuck and just can't seem to get past. It's just pretty amazing. I went to an energy psychology conference at the beginning of June, and I was so impressed and inspired that I will be starting between now and the fall. I'm going to start the Southwest Energy Psychology Association for professionals like myself who practice in that field. Also will be included are people like massage therapists and things like that, and even intuitive coaches like Candace, and I'm going to tell you more about my guest speaker today. And just really being able to collaborate and get together and actually belong to a professional association so that we can collectively just help more and more people. So today's show is going to be about manifesting. The title of the show is Manifesting Fact or Fiction. And Candace Thomas, who is, well, Candace used to be an accountant in a federal government agency for 10 years. And then her intuitive and mediumship gifts awakened. And the experience led her on a path to understanding the nature of intuition and her soul purpose. For those of you that joined me last week, I talked a lot about intuition, and Candace actually has been quite a visionary, and she's definitely inspired me. I can attest to her effectiveness in terms of the services she delivers. I did an entrepreneur coaching program. That's probably not the title, but I guess about a year and a half ago, and it really changed the way I practice. It definitely was an important addition to the professional and personal growth and development that I've been doing and working on for the last couple of years. Candace additionally has created a series of intuitive development workshops to show others how to understand their intuition and to manifest what they desire. She also works privately with clients using intuitive coaching to empower them to manifest career and business success. So welcome on the show, Candace.
Yay, thanks for having me. So happy to be here, Mary, and I'm excited to hear about the group that you're starting. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, that's, yesterday or Saturday when we talked on the phone and I told you I wanted to talk to you about involving you in something, and I forgot, but that's it. So we'll need to talk. We'll need to talk at some point in the near future because it's going to be a pretty amazing thing.
Right on.
So, manifesting is, some people that are going to listen to the show have never heard of manifesting. Maybe you've heard of the book The Secret, or maybe you've heard the term and don't really know what it is. So Candace is going to talk. We're both going to talk, but she's the guest today and has quite a bit of valuable information to pass on about the topic. And I guess one of the first things I wanted to ask you is, what has been your personal experience with manifesting?
Well, my personal experience with manifesting, and manifestation to me, it's just the ability to create with intention. So if you have a desire to experience something in your life, whether it's career-wise or relationship-wise, if you really would like something in your life and then you create that experience for yourself, you are manifesting. And for me, I'm highly intuitive, and I was born that way, but I didn't know until I was like 27 years old. So I used to manifest all the time unconsciously. Unconscious competence is the technical term for it, where I think one of the greatest experiences in my life, there were a lot, but in my early 20s, again, before I knew I was psychic, and I worked for the federal government, and because of my job, I had been moved to Laramie, Wyoming, which was a very small town. And in my federal agency, I was one of the youngest people there, and everyone else, they were in their 40s or their 50s, and there wasn't a lot of upward momentum, and I was stationed in Laramie, Wyoming. But people kept saying, oh, well, you're probably going to be here for a while, and I was like, well, Laramie, Wyoming, there were really great people, and I learned a lot there, but it's like, no, this isn't for me. I'm not going to be here for very long. And no one understood that. They're like, what are you talking about? There isn't any career opportunities. There's like nothing else. So, dig in and get used to the environment here. And something within me is like, nope, that's not true. I'm not going to stay in Laramie, Wyoming, even though I really like the people there. And I started thinking about, I'd really like to be in Washington, D.C., and there was no job opportunity, no potential, like nothing in Washington, D.C., but I kept thinking like, yeah, it'd be nice to be in Washington, D.C. and work there as an accountant. And so it was so weird. That's all I did was like, no, I believed it though. It's like, I'm going to somehow end up in Washington, D.C. And it was like, I didn't have to keep obsessing or thinking about it. I just knew something within me was like, no, I want to go to Washington, D.C. It's going to happen for me. And then I worked really hard in my job. And I really showed up, and I really helped as many people as I could in my accounting field. Well, it was near the holidays, and someone said, hey, Candace, guess what? They had a job announcement, an opening that was taking place in the Washington, D.C. area.
Wow.
And it was one of those moments where the application's like due in the next 24 hours, so I had to scramble and throw it together and, submit it, fingers crossed. And I actually ended up getting the job. So, and it was amazing. Well, what happened is that I applied. I didn't actually get the job that the position was for, but the people really liked my application so much that they created an opportunity for me to go to Washington, D.C. So within a year of setting my intention, I was there. And again, I was really naive with my ability to manifest. I just assumed if you wanted it badly enough, it would just happen. That's kind of how I lived my life up to a point. And then when I got to D.C., and it was okay. I really liked the people. I really liked the area and the Washington, D.C. world. But then I started feeling like I'm not meant to be an accountant. I need to be doing something else, but I wasn't sure what that was. So I kind of just thought, well, something's going to come along and rescue me from this life of accountancy. I'm going to find the dream job, and it's going to be great. And then, nothing happened. So it switched from this life of being able to manifest whatever I wanted fairly easily to crickets and tumbleweeds, like, oh my God, I'm stuck in my life. I don't like my job. How do I get out of here? What can I do? And so that really pushed me to understand what it was that I was doing, to really take myself seriously, to take manifestation seriously. And then when my intuitive gifts opened, it was like there was no going back. I had to really take my gifts seriously and move to the next level. So that's just a general explanation of how manifestation has impacted me personally.
Well, I kind of laughed when you said, you had 24 hours to complete your application, because that's the thing about manifesting, and I have my own personal experience with it. I talked some about it last week on last week's show, but when I'll never forget, I was sitting in a session with Lupita Gudule Martinez, who was doing some energy work with me, and she was talking to me about manifesting. And up to that point, I just thought manifesting was about thinking positively. I mean, I had read The Secret, and I just couldn't grasp it, And we were in session, and she told me, Mary, if you could just get this, it will change your life. And I just looked at her kind of confused, and okay, I was trying, I was really trying to get this manifesting thing down. And then, I'm not kidding you, probably a couple of days after that, things seemed to shift into place, which they probably already had been shifting into place. And I experienced an awakening like you described, and my life has never been the same since. And that was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And I mean, never the same sense, in beautiful and wonderful ways. I mean, that's why I'm so excited about you talking about this today, because manifesting really is a game changer. It is a life changer. And, it sounds like from your description that you've experienced it personally time and time again, right? I mean, you could probably go on and give 20 million, examples as well as myself. And I think sometimes when I talk to people about my personal experience with manifesting, they kind of look at me like I looked at Lupita that day in her office, kind of like, really? Like, wanting to get it, but not really understanding it. And anyways, yeah, it's a very powerful thing. What is manifest? Go ahead.
I
was just going to say,
on the outside, when you're not familiar with manifesting, it looks like another person's just really, really lucky. Like, how come that person gets everything so easily? That's what it looks like to a person who doesn't know how to manifest for themselves, when really it can be easy for everyone if you know how to do it. And that's what I'm all about, is really showing people how to do that for themselves. And you are too. And we might do it in slightly different ways, but it's all about showing people, here's your power, here's how to create the life that you want, here's how to have the experiences that you truly desire.
Well, and you know what? That's absolutely right. I think people, and I think sometimes it can bring out envy and jealousy in people, and resentment, because, I mean, it's not because people are bad, but when people want something, and they want something so bad, and they desire it, and it's just not happening for them, and they see beautiful, wonderful things happening for somebody else over and over and over again. I think, I've experienced some envy and jealousy, and not because I'm just this wonderful thing, but because what I just said, I think people get disappointed, and they feel hopeless and they feel like, well, why is she so lucky, to use your term
Exactly.
again,
It's like that person's not better than me. I'm got this on that person, or that and that. I got this more than this person, and they're just rolling in the dough or able to pull in a successful relationship. And what's really important to understand with manifestation is you don't have to be whatever your idea of good enough is. Everyone is already good enough to manifest. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how good you are. That was something that held me back for a long time, is trying to be the good girl and try to people please everyone and prove that I deserved it. Another trap that people fall into with manifesting is believing that you have to work really hard to get something. And there's some truth in you do have to take consistent actions, and I'll get into more details about the actual steps in a second. But a lot of people work very, very hard all their lives and never create what they want, and it's because they just don't understand how to break through that pattern or that limitation and understand their manifestation power. So it's so it's so great that you mentioned that, because it is. There's no need to be envious or jealous. If you notice someone succeeding and manifesting something that you would like, that's a sign that you can have that. It makes it more real and grounded in the earth. In the earth realm. So, and that's getting a little woo-woo here, but people will often see other people's success as evidence of why they can't do something, as opposed to, no, that's validation that you can do it. There was nothing dramatically more special or more important about this other person. It's a person just like you achieved their goals. So it's almost like, why can't you do it? If this person can do it, why not you? And to look at it that way for anyone who's kind of observing other people getting greater levels of success or feeling envious or jealous of another person.
Yeah, let it inspire you. Anybody can have, anybody can manifest.
Right.
It isn't for the chosen few or anything like that. I mean, anybody can. And, and be ready when you do, because, like that interview or application opportunity that came overnight, that's how it goes. You ask, you manifest, and I mean, boom,
Right.
Which is exciting,
Right.
So what does manifestation even mean? What, how would you define it?
Again, as I was saying earlier, I think it's just the ability to create what you would like to experience. It's just that simple. It's just creating what you would like. And people have a billion different techniques and a billion different ways. And you mentioned The Secret. Another one that I know people like a lot is the Abraham Law of Attraction.
Right.
And Jerry and Esther Hicks contribute to that. And, all these, and they're so great, such a great day and age, because there's so many different books, so many wonderful teachers and authors on how to manifest. And so there's no real wrong way to do it. I think that we just have to be consistent with some of the steps that it takes to manifest. So if you have a track or a program that you're really believing in or you really resonate with, that's great, but make sure that you're consistent in doing all of the techniques and whatever that program is.
And what can people manifest?
Anything, and that's positive and negative. So we're actually manifesting all the time right now, and people who are feeling like they can't get what they want or nothing ever works out, well, something within their own vibration, within their own energy is creating that reality. So positive and negative, we always manifest our experience, or the world reflects back what's going on inside of us. And so now I'm moving into a little bit of the woo-woo field, but just bear with me if that's a completely new concept I'll explain. Just by saying that everything is energy. And I'm sure you've heard that before, but everything really is energy. Our thoughts are energy, our feelings, our emotions, our intentions, what we would like to experience is energetic. Our physical bodies are energetic. So what happens is when you have a belief, whether you're aware of it or not, it might be a subconscious limiting belief, you are sending intentions or energy out into the world about the rules of what you can experience, what you're allowed to have, who you can become, who you truly are, and the world reflects back to you what your personal rules are. And so when we talk about subconscious limiting beliefs, I think that's, Mary, your field too. A lot of it is helping people deprogram, because you might not even be aware that you have these negative rules that are running in your energy field, in your vibration. And an example that I use all the time is if you grew up in an environment where both of your parents really did work really, really hard, and yet there was not enough money, there was this continual sense of lack. A limiting rule that a lot of people have is I have to work hard, and by the way, I don't get to have anything to show for it. So if you have some rule like that running in your vibration, it will be harder for you to generate and keep wealth. It'll be like, I'm working really hard, I've got a strong work ethic, but something always comes up where I can't keep the money, I can't have the money, I can't experience the feeling of being safe and secure monetarily. So that's just an example of how a negative subconscious limiting belief or a rule runs in our vibration.
Right. And that's interesting. And that is a really good example of, energy psychology is putting the two together in terms of talking about the energy that negative beliefs or limiting beliefs carry with them, How can people manifest?
Okay.
How do they do it?
It is super easy. I'm going to go through the 5 steps, and I know, I'm psychic, I'm intuitive. I can already feel someone going, I already know that. I'm going to tell you the steps, and people are going to go, but I do that already. If you're not getting what you desire, I trust you are not doing it, even though you might think that you're doing it. So I'll read the steps that I have, because I actually, a book that I wrote earlier this year that got published, it's called The Success Sense, and I go into how to manifest. You can get it on Amazon.com.
What's the title again, Candace?
The Success Sense.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the Sixth Sense, but for success. So the 5 rules to manifesting, I'm going to read them first, and then I'm going to talk about them so we can really get into detail and get clear about how to do each one. So the first thing that everyone has to do to manifest is really be clear with your intentions. And that's not a want, that's not a dream. It's really clear about what do you want to experience in your life. I mean, real talk, not what your parents want for you or what people in society tell you that you should have to make you happy. What do you personally want to experience, and who do you want to be in your life is step number 1. And step number 2 is connecting with spirit. When I say spirit, and this again is going back to the woo-woo, when I spoke about everything being energetic and that energetic resonance from your rules, your inner rules, the subconscious limiting beliefs, or subconscious beliefs can be positive as well. When you connect intuitively, trusting your own intuition, when you connect with your own spirit, and spirit is just that higher part of you, your soul self, your higher self, you have access to a greater realm of information, of ability, of knowledge. So again, it's getting super woo-woo now, but it's important to recognize
and everybody, I just would encourage any of you listening, if you find yourself thinking that's weird, just challenge yourself and see it through. What do you have to lose? Like just step outside of your comfort zone a little. You have nothing to lose, Yeah,
okay. Exactly. And so it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, and even if it is super woo-woo, people call it so many different things. So connecting with spirit, some people might say connecting with God or with Christ or connecting with a higher collective consciousness, but just really acknowledging the greater spiritual essence that's outside of your thinking mind. So third step after you connect with that source is to ask for guidance for your situation. So when you're connected to a spiritual energy, you just ask for, okay, well, what do I do next to manifest my intention? And step 4 is when you ask, you will always get an answer. And I'm going to talk about how to do each of these in detail. So for anyone who's going, but I asked, I never get anything, that's not true. I'm going to show you how you're getting guidance. But when you ask Spirit, okay, well, what's my next step? Spirit's going to say, oh, well, this and this and this. And when you receive that information, you have to do what Spirit guided you to do. You have to follow what your intuition says this is the next step to take. The last step, and this is the one that can trip people up and is the hardest, is when you follow guidance from Spirit, when you're doing all the other steps, it's to monitor your energy. You really have to watch and look for where your negative or limiting subconscious beliefs are coming up and kind of tripping you up in life. You have to be very vigilant in what you're thinking about, how you're reacting to your experiences, and I'll talk about that in more detail in a second. So the steps, just to recap: 1, set clear intentions; 2, connect with Spirit; 3, ask Spirit for guidance; 4, follow the guidance from Spirit; and the last one is to monitor your energy, or mindset's another word for energy too. Well, it's a little bit more encompassing because it's not just mental, it's emotional and physical and all that good stuff. So to go into a little bit more detail about each of those topics with setting your intentions, again, a lot of people are not really clear about what they want. And when I meet clients, some of them come to me because they feel really lost. They know that they don't want to do what they're doing in their current life. Like when I was an accountant, I knew I didn't want to be an accountant. But if you had asked me in my 20s, well, what are you supposed to be doing? I would have said, I have no clue. I just know that this isn't it for me. And I actually did know. I did know I was, when I started freaking out, I didn't know that I was psychic at the time. But then when I became intuitive, when it was crystal clear, oh, no, you're super psychic. And I knew, something within me knew, oh, I need to be doing this professionally. And I resisted it because I was still hung up on what are people going to think. People know me as accountant Candace, financial analyst Candace. I supervised 8 employees at the time, and I was pretty high ranking in my position. So for me, the fear of now I'm going to be crazy, people are going to judge me, I'm going to say that I'm psychic, and my life is going to fall apart, that's what held me back. So instead of really setting clear intentions about, yes, I want to find a way to be true to myself and be happy, I was still trying to live someone else's rules. I was still trying to make it fit and make it work. So for anyone who's feeling lost and you don't even know what you would like, I really just challenge that. Most people do know what they would like. They just don't believe that they can have it. So,
well, right, and then sometimes I think it can seem so far out of reach that people don't believe it. You know, they're like,
Absolutely.
Oh, there's no way I can have that. There's no way.
Exactly. Like, how does that work? One of my clients, who's amazing, she's a medical esthetician out here in Albuquerque. And for her, she had this big vision of, I want to go big. She saw herself being a celebrity medical esthetician, but a bigger purpose of helping women heal and reclaim their beauty. And it was the same for her. Well, how do you get the hell out of Albuquerque? Excuse my language. And we went through the steps of manifesting, and she developed her intuition, because that's a big component, and we'll talk about that in later steps, really developing and trusting your own intuition. And now, when she was in Albuquerque, she started getting celebrity clients. I don't know how that happened, right? Well, I do know. It's manifested. She manifested. She got really clear, and it just happened. But again, so on the outside, it was like, oh, my God, she's just so lucky. And it's like, no, she set a really clear intention with that, connected with spirit, asked for the steps. The next thing you know, she's getting celebrity clients in Albuquerque, and then got asked to do things in New York, and she's been featured in Vogue magazine a couple times, Marie Claire magazine, and was on E! News. It's amazing. And
I know who you're talking about, and I wondered, I'm glad you're telling her story. That's awesome.
Yeah, but so I totally, people think, and that's why if she had believed her mind, or some of her friends were a little bit of haters too, like, oh yeah, well, you're in Albuquerque, so you're going to have to just be happy with doing mediocre or bare minimum here. If you have a successful business, hallelujah, here in Albuquerque. And she didn't accept that. There was something within her that was like, no, this is what I'm choosing to experience. So really being clear about that for everyone, and letting go of other people's limitations and beliefs is important. So connecting with spirit, and let's just do Mary, if you don't mind, for all the listeners out there, we can just do a really quick exercise of what it is to connect with spirit.
Sure.
And it won't be very long. So yeah, it's not scary at all. I know, what are the popular movies? I think it's like Paranormal Activity, and they're like horror movies, right? Like,
I promise you guys,
we
don't spew purple out of our mouth and our heads don't twist around.
Right. But it's like that. Like, connecting with spirit is a scary thing according to the media and movies, and it's not like that at all. Right. Again, we're going to connect with your soul, your higher self, and that greater extension of you. So just taking a few moments, close your eyes, begin taking deep breaths, and really we're just going to ask for your higher self, your soul self, to step forward in a more conscious way that you understand. And again, we just ask if there are any of your spirit helpers, such as angels or spirit guides, other beings who are in your highest and best interest, who are assisting you on your journey. We ask that they step forward too in a more conscious way that you can receive and understand in this moment. Just take a few deep breaths and really be present with any changes in your physical body, such as you might have sudden buzzing or tingling or even yawning, or even, it's unladylike, but burping also. stomach rumbling. You will get a physical sensation in your body when you're connecting with spiritual energy. So let's go a step further. And while we're connected in with your higher self and with spirit, we'll just ask, what is it that you would really like to manifest? And just right now, think of something that you would like to experience in your life, no matter how big or how small. And while you're thinking about what you would like to experience, see if you can really imagine it, really see it. What do you hear in this divine vision? What are people saying to you? What are you feeling like to have achieved this goal, to have manifested this? What does that feel like to you? And if you're not sure, make it up. What would you like to feel if you experienced this? Perfect. And so still in this place, we're going to ask your higher self and your soul self, what's in your highest and best interest to let go of right now to manifest this vision? And trust your first impression. It might just be a feeling, a knowing, a word, an image. What's in your highest and best interest to let go of right now? And it will come very, very quickly. And it might be a very light touch where it's fleeting, it comes in, and then it's gone. That's okay. And if you're feeling like, well, nothing's really coming in at all, that's okay too. And so now we'll ask your higher self and your soul self, what's in your highest and best interest to do right now to manifest this vision? Again, trusting your very first impression. You might get an image, you might hear a word, you might get a knowing or have a feeling. Just trust what's in your highest and best interest to do next. Perfect. Take a few deep breaths, and when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. And so that right there, that's pretty much the first 3 steps of manifesting, is really getting clear on an intention, connecting with spirit, and asking, okay, well, this is my vision. I want to connect to spirit with my vision, really see it, feel it, hear it, know it. And then, okay, spirit, what do I do next? What do I let go of? What action steps do I take? So, Mary, as we did that, did you go through the process? And if so, did you see anything or hear anything or get any guidance to help you in whatever situation you're trying to manifest?
Well, I did. And so I started yawning, and that is true that means that you're connecting with energy or with source, with higher self, all of that. And I can relate to all of that. And the first thing, I am in the midst of this huge manifesting process, actually. So, and I laugh only because, sometimes us human beings are just funny, the way that we walk through life. So what I got first was to let go of fear.
Wow.
Yeah, to let go of fear. And, when I'm in the flow, which is, I would say 98% of the time, I don't have any fear. I move through things confidently. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm just going to take a leap out here because I haven't really talked to a lot of people about this. But, I last year started to become even more and more in touch with my psychic and intuitive abilities. And so I'll hear things, I'll be told, what to do. And it's kind of interesting, but so I heard, let go of fear. And then when you prompted us to ask, what I need to do or what I should do, I heard keep moving, keep walking. Because I'm doing action steps, and it's fun. It's a blast. It's not work. It is work, but it's also a lot of fun. And so I heard just keep moving, keep walking, keep going forward.
Right.
And
that's pretty incredible. Yeah, that's so incredible. So as you say that, what pops into my mind to share with the listeners today is if you were following along with that exercise, and we went really, really quick. If we were working one-on-one, I would slow it down a little bit. depending on where you were and your intuitive gifts and abilities. But remember, there are no lousy T-shirts. And what I mean by that is sometimes when we have an intuitive exercise and you hear someone like Mary share, and she's talking about she's hearing spirit, she got it so clearly, and you can feel like, oh, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Like, I didn't get anything like that. And they're just trust whatever you receive. So when we receive guidance from spirit, for me, my strongest gift is feeling information. So I wouldn't always hear guidance or see images. I would just have a feeling and a knowing of, okay, I understand, I need to release fear. But it would just be a knowing and a feeling, not like an actual angel appearing before me visually and speaking to me in my ear. Also, something to know is what Spirit's impressing upon my thoughts to say, is you might get stuff that you already know. Like Mary's like, yeah, just keep walking, keep taking action steps. And it's like, okay, great, that was validation. Sometimes your intuition will give you guidance about what next steps to take, and it will keep repeating. So if you did that exercise and you're feeling like, oh, well, I already know that, that's not something new, that's not something different, make sure that you're taking those not new, not different action steps. So many people will fall into the trap of waiting for the big sign from Spirit, the big, here's the next step to take, and they're waiting for that angel to manifest in front of them and give them the brand new idea that no one has come up with ever. And that does happen once you've been following your spiritual intuitive path. But a lot of times it's a lot less sexy than that. It's a lot less interesting. It's little baby steps that Spirit will give you. And some of those steps might not make any logical sense to your mind. So this leads to the next step of manifesting is whatever you receive to do or let go of, take those actions. So
right, don't question it.
Don't keep thinking about it. Like, well, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah,
it's like, well,
I never question. I just do it, and I'll tell you,
right.
It always turns out beautiful.
I wish I was like that. I'm so I was an accountant, right? So super analytical mind, and I missed out on so many opportunities because I overthought it. And this happens especially when you're really closely connected, when you really, really, really emotionally want something to happen, you will overthink it pretty much to death. And the longer that you wait in between getting intuitive guidance and taking action, you will lose the stamina. What opportunity or what brilliance, what miracle you would have received might not manifest as strongly because you waited. And this is where when you go to Spirit and surrender, you're surrendering to the higher self, which is you, your soul. Your soul came here on purpose, mission-like, to experience great things. It didn't come here to stay stuck and to be suffering. I've never had, in all the years that I've been giving readings and coaching people, Spirit has never, ever once said, oh, this client is supposed to be broke and miserable. Never once. Never. Or this person is not supposed to be in a romantic relationship. And I would really challenge, especially for other healers or intuitives who might be listening, a lot of people hear things like, you're not supposed to be romantically involved, you can't have a happy, successful relationship if you're a healer, you can't earn a lot of money if you're a healer, not just in the healing industry, but there are these things that we've been told about what you can't have if you really are supposed to be good at what you do.
Talk
and
about
that's
a limiting belief, right?
It is, right. It is letting that stuff go. That goes back to setting a clear intention, because our true wants and desires are actually our soul's intentions. So our true wants and desires are hardwired from our soul, because the soul said, I came here to experience a happy relationship and a great career. So it keeps repeating in your mind those things that you would really like to experience. And going back to why people don't take action, sometimes, again, the actions don't make sense. So I remember one time I manifested, it's like, I would like to work, how do people get celebrity clients? Like, I want to work with a celebrity client. And I just put it out there like, I'm choosing to work with a celebrity client, and I just let it go. And what flashed in my head was I was in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program at the time. I had a little brother. And what flashed in my head is to take my little brother it was like a Comic-Con, an expo or something. So I took him to the expo, and I actually saw one of my favorite actors. And so I kind of just put out on Twitter like, oh, wow, I just saw one of my favorite actors. Well, the actor saw it and personally reached out to me and said, hey, I kind of like what you're doing. How can I work together? How can I work with you? And that manifested in less than a week. And it was so random. Like, I didn't have to at the time I didn't have a book out or anything, I didn't have to do all this stuff. And I was here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so I didn't have to go to Los Angeles or California or text somebody, or I didn't have any connections, was not connected. So that's the power of manifestation, and something that seemingly doesn't make any sense in a roundabout way led me to getting that connection. So if you had that experience and what popped into your mind of what action step to take, and you saw a picture like going to the mall, just go to the damn mall. Excuse my language, but just go without questioning it. It's your spirit self, your soul self knows the fastest way and the best way to manifest what you would like.
Well, right, because, that part of ourselves and spirit is all-knowing. So, there's things that we don't see in this moment in time,
right.
Whereas spirit and our higher selves don't have that limitation. So,
right.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, please, please, please,
and it's
don't think this
easy.
is weird. It is super easy.
It's
and
super
it is just
easy,
amazing.
and it is so easy, you will not do it.
It's almost too easy. It's almost too easy.
Because our brains want to overcomplicate it and go, well, that doesn't make sense. How can you just want something and then it happens? Well, that's step 5, which is really monitoring your energy. So the two things that people don't really do is they don't take action, and you can't just do action once. And you have to. That's why when I go to this exercise, I'm doing it every day. I go, okay, Spirit, what's next? What do I let go of, and what's the next step to take? And then I'm following up and doing the action steps. Step 5 is monitoring your energy. So let's say you're taking the action steps, and then you start freaking out about it. So your intuition is going to give you the guidance to take, but your brain might not be caught up to it. So you might get the hit of, you need to go speak in front of 1,000 people tomorrow at some sort of convention, and your brain will go, but I'm terrified of speaking in front of people. Well, you have to monitor your energy and just know, okay, well, your intuition is always right. Your intuition is always leading you to the right place. So don't go into self-sabotage, and you have to really recognize when you do it. I know when people first work with me, what usually happens consistently before they have a tremendous breakthrough, when they really get what they would like to have, is they start, it's like these weird things start happening. So they might miss out on scheduled times to meet, or get into tremendous fights and arguments with people around them. It's so weird. And then it suddenly seems like the world is against them, where they want to go into victim energy. Well, nothing's going to happen. It's not even that important. It's like they're getting distracted. And that's because we manifest. Remember, we're constantly manifesting. So if you have limiting beliefs or other people's energy, other people's truths that you're living through, that stuff will manifest at the same time. So when you're really making strides and efforts and creating what you don't want is also fighting and competing for your attention. The way to beat that, go ahead.
Go ahead. I want to ask you something about free will. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way to compete against that, so for example, back to the example of if your parents struggle to make money and you're an entrepreneur, right when you're pushing through and finally getting to that place where you're financially secure, it'll be where all of a sudden you get into a car accident or something breaks down in your house and this whole expenditure of money. And it's like, what's going on? I was doing so well, and then all my stuff is coming up. And that's because you're finally breaking through those old patterns. So you really have to be careful, because that's where people will fall back and just give up and just go, you know what, it was stupid, it's not really happening, I knew I couldn't break through the energy. And the hardships are coming because you're finally able to push through that energy a final time. It's like, hang in there and keep moving forward, keep taking actions, the actions that Spirit is guiding you to take, and not give up. And for a lot of people, they really need support to keep moving forward. They really need someone that they can turn to and talk to. And sometimes it's not a spouse, it's not your best friend, it's not your family, because they don't understand. They can't hold that energetic space of success for you. And that's where hiring a coach or joining a group or being around like-minded people can help move you forward. So kind of in a nutshell, those are the 5 steps to manifesting. And there's so much more around that, but just bringing that down into 5 simple steps, that's how to manifest.
So the question I had about free will is, say somebody wants to manifest getting into a relationship with a specific person, how does free will, and for that other person, right? So person A, person B. Person A wants to get into a relationship with person B and is trying to manifest that relationship and gets, might get frustrated because it's just not happening and they're doing everything right, quote unquote. So talk about how free will enters into the picture there for maybe person B.
Well, if person B doesn't want to do it, it's not going to happen. And actually, and that goes into some manipulation there. So a person who, if you're really dead set on one specific person, you're trying to manifest this relationship with one specific person, you really have to look inside yourself and go deeper into what is it that I really would like to experience? What is it that I think will happen if I have this one person? How will this improve my life? Because it's almost like the grass is greener. If there's an obsession, if people become really obsessed with another person or an experience, it's understanding, why do you want that thing? Why do you want it so badly? How do you think it's going to improve your life? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not. So if you're person B, if someone's obsessing over you and really wants to get into a relationship with you, what happens is, on an energetic level, they start feeding you their energy. So person A starts giving person B almost their life force, in a sense. And then for person A, it's going to be really hard for them to do much of anything because they're directing all of their energy to this person. If person B isn't paying attention at all to person A, they will just be supercharged and they'll be able to do whatever they want. It's like they'll get an extra boost to manifest whatever they would like. If person B notices person A and pays attention, even if it's negative, like, God, I don't want to deal with this person, I can't stand this person, then it becomes this weird energetic back and forth where they start draining each other, person A and person B. And so that's a whole other thing about really understanding your energetic boundaries and really knowing how to disconnect from other people and not get these attachments that we send out to each other.
Right. That's a whole other very interesting topic. Is how.
But it's a great question. You can't. So with manifestation, it's so great that you ask that, because you can only manifest for yourself. You can't manifest for another person's experience. You can pray for another person. You can pray for a situation or an outcome, but no one can interfere with another person's free will or their soul experience. So it's on that other person to manifest whatever they would like to manifest with you, person A or person B, as it's meant to be. Doing the exercise, the way that I was taught to manifest that I'm sharing with folks, when you connect with your higher self and your soul self, what starts happening is, if there is something unhealthy or something that's not in your highest and best interest, if it is an obsession, it'll start falling away, where over time it'll be less and less and less. You're not even going to be thinking about person B. It will just happen naturally.
Right. The other thing, and maybe we could just talk about this real quickly, or I just want to mention, because it's kind of heartbreaking, when people get the wrong notion of what karma is. And so you'll hear people say, which I think is a block to being able to manifest, right? When people will say, I guess I just deserve to be in pain. I don't know what I did in my other life. That, you hear people, and that's like a block. You cannot manifest if you're blocked, or it's going to slow that ability to do that down.
Yeah, that's a person who's not keeping it real. And it's the same when people can't manifest person B, in your example, when they want a relationship and the other person's not reciprocating. And people will say things like, oh, I think that's my twin flame. Oh, I think, I'm just learning a lesson in unconditional love. And I want to call BS on that and say, no, you're choosing to stay stuck. You're choosing to limit your experience because something within you is convinced that you're not good enough to have what you truly desire. So it's to go back to keep it real and say, what is it that I really want to experience? And it doesn't have to be with a specific person. I mean, your brain will tell you, oh, it's with this specific person, but really going deeper than that, what is it that you would really like to experience in a loving relationship or in your career? Let go of what you think you can have and trying to make it fit or make it work into your current situation. Go beyond that to what is it that you would really desire? What is it that you would really like to wake up to and live? If you could have anything, what would your life be like?
Right. So, before, just in wrapping things up here in the next couple of minutes, I want to let everyone know that Candace is going to be my guest host next Monday She's going to continue her discussion on manifesting, and you want to give some idea of what, and also the exciting thing is she's going to be taking calls. So those of you that are listening today, and we'll post the number on Facebook where you can actually call in. Well, Candace, you say, what do you have planned for next Monday?
Well, for next Monday, I want to continue on our manifestation conversation. So if there's anyone out there who would like help with manifesting, if you are having a block and you just can't seem to get what you would like, please, let's call in and we'll work intuitively. I'll have you do some exercises that can help everyone else and help you move to that energy of resistance and get you manifesting and creating the life you desire. So just a real heads up with what you desire can't be like a person B. So it can't be a specific, like I want Johnny Depp or something like that. And also really understand that if you call in for how do I manifest this, that you're going to be tasked and giving action steps. It's not going to be, oh, well, magically from the skies, from the universe, you're going to be gifted and you're not going to have to do anything. You're really going to have to step up and be brave enough and take responsibility for your happiness.
Right. Yeah, we have to show up. We have to take the action steps to see things happen in our life, for sure.
Right.
Have you ever watched the Cokeville Miracles?
I haven't.
That is an excellent movie, and I just want to tell everybody, I watched it yesterday on Amazon Prime, but I'm sure, you could probably find it on Netflix or whatever, but because I don't think it's a newer movie. But it is an excellent movie, and that's all I'm going to say. It's about miracles, and it's an awesome movie. Cokeville Miracles. Watch it.
That's pretty cool. All right, yeah. Awesome.
Well, so you guys, you can also find us Remotely Unique and archived programs on iTunes and Google Play, and also on my website. I actually have 3 websites, so I'm just going to name them because you can find archive copies there too. Remotely-unique.com is one website. Odyssey, that's ODYSSEY-counseling.com. And of course, Resilience, RESILIENCE -integrative, INTEGRATIVE.com. You can find us on any of those. When you go to iTunes or Google Play, you can either download the podcast or you can even subscribe so that you can get the show every week. And that's it. You all have a great week, and join Candace next week. I'm sure that's going to be another phenomenal show where she'll continue her discussion on manifesting and even take some calls. So have a great week. Hope it's amazing. Bye.
You're listening to Remotely Unique with Mary Baca, only on LA Talk Radio.